This is Mac OS Ken.
Defending the idea of a foldable iPhone. Yeah, believe me, I am as surprised as you are. It is Tuesday, the 9th of September, 2025. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by OpenCase, MagSafe for iPhone perfected. Get 10% off your purchase with code MacOSKen at theopencase.com. This show is also sponsored by Insta360 and their brand new Go Ultra, a tiny, hands-free 4K camera. We talked yesterday about the physical thing that is the Go Ultra. Size of a peanut butter cracker, weighs about 1/10 of a pound, mounts anywhere, you can stick a magnet. Pretty amazing. As for performance, video from a camera you wear can kind of make you queasy. Not Go Ultra. Insta360's flow state stabilization makes even the most active video smooth as can be. Wind can wreak havoc on outdoor shoots. Insta360's AI algorithms minimize background noise and clarify the sounds you actually want to hear. It is a palm-sized 4K powerhouse. Small, versatile, and packed with possibility. If you're ready to go ultra, head to store.insta360.com to check it out. Then the first 30 people to buy using promo code MacOSKen get a free set of sticky tabs. They let you mount Go Ultra where magnets won't do the job. The first 30 people get a free set with your Go Ultra purchase at store.insta360.com using promo code MacOSKen. Show the world what you see the way you see it. Get the Insta360 Go Ultra at store.insta360.com and use promo code MacOSKen. As this show is recorded, we are mere hours away from Apple's awe-dropping media event.
Yeah.
That's the one where Apple is expected to show new models of Apple Watch, maybe announce a streaming deal for F1 The Races on the heels of F1 The Movie, and of course announce new iPhones, including an anticipated super-thin iPhone Air. And we are not talking about any of it. Well, mostly. With the event happening any minute, it seems silly to spend any minutes on what they might say. There's actually been this other Apple thing on my mind for the past few days. So I'm about to do a 180 on the idea of a foldable iPhone. No, it's not going to happen today, and I'm still not saying it's definitely going to happen, but if Apple does introduce a foldable iPhone, I think I finally get it. Since 2021 or 2022, I think, I've had one refrain when it came to the idea of a foldable iPhone. I don't see what problem it solves. My thinking has been that a foldable iPhone increases complexity, fragility, and cost. And why? A phone so expensive that most people will just look at the price and shake their head? And yet people, by which I mean tech watchers, for the past several years have said that Apple is behind because it doesn't have a foldable iPhone. That's despite the fact that the wider industry hasn't been able to make foldable phones happen, and it doesn't seem like they're going to be able to, at least not according to a recent post from IDC. That firm ran a report a little over a week ago, raising its growth expectation for smartphone shipments this year from 0.6% to 1.0%. That is thanks to iPhone. IDC said its adjustment was driven by 3.9% growth in iOS in 2025. That's despite the thing not folding and Apple having no, as seen in movies about the future, AI on device. IDC sees both AI and foldables driving smartphone growth through 2029, though I can't help wondering why they put foldables on that list. The release I mentioned had one VP saying the foldable category is rapidly maturing and knocking down the barriers that have prevented mainstream adoption, and yet the same release says that by 2029, foldables will account for less than 3% of total smartphone shipments. I know it doesn't sound like I'm coming around on a foldable iPhone, but stick with me. The last time I remember Apple doing something as big as the foldable idea with an iPhone release was the 2017 release of iPhone X. The future is here, proclaimed that model's press release, touting such features as a Super Retina display, true depth camera system, Face ID, and A11 Bionic chip with neural engine. I didn't feel quite the same way about iPhone X when it was announced as I have felt about the idea of a foldable iPhone, but I was pretty close. A $1,000 phone for what? Face ID? A better camera? And seriously, could a camera be that much better? I mean, it looked great, the features were on point, but why? Of course, it only took a year or two to see that features like a better display, LiDAR, Face ID, these things were going to end up all over iPhone, from the more expensive and then imaginary iPhone blank Pro Max to the relatively low cost and equally imaginary iPhone blank E. So Apple was right. The future was here. But kind of like that quote attributed to William Gibson, it just wasn't evenly distributed. Again, though, it's easy to see what problems features like a better display, better processors, and Face ID solve. I mean, Face ID was and is super secure and super convenient. Except for those years when everybody was masking up. What problem or problems does a folding iPhone solve? I've had people say to me, well, you can read it like a book. Well, read a book. Personally, I've gone back to reading physical books lately. Not because it's more convenient, because to be honest, it's not. Rather, it's because 1, nobody can turn off my access to my physical book by remote, and 2, I found a great used bookstore. And I know that does nothing for publishing, but I resent paying $12 to $20 for a 50-year-old paperback that's only $3.50 used, which is still almost twice as much as the first edition paperback cost when it came out. But I digress. I've had people tell me that they would love a foldable iPhone that could fold out into something the size of an iPad mini or even an iPad. I can't help thinking what they're looking for is an iPad. All I can see when I try to see this thing is something that's not a great phone, not a great tablet, but hey, at least it'll cost a lot and be more prone to breakage than my phone, which is great, and my tablet, which is great. I think asking what problem does a foldable iPhone solve is the right question to ask. But I also think I have missed an important part. Perhaps the full question should be, what problem does an iPhone foldable solve, and for whom? We'll finish our trip to a foldable iPhone in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, OpenCase, MagSafe for iPhone perfected. Lately, I have a tendency to lose my leather wallet and lose my silicone iPhone case. That's because I've given up both for OpenCase and their MagSafe wallet. I told you yesterday that John at OpenCase saw the first MagSafe demo and thought it could be a little bit better. His concern was that a MagSafe wallet would just slide off if you slid the phone into a tight pocket. OpenCase solves that problem, leaving a sort of window for MagSafe accessories. My iPhone 15 Pro Max still feels incredibly thin in my OpenCase, while accessories like my wallet or the MagSafe pop holder stay right where they belong. They've got cases for iPhone 14, 15, and 16 lines, and yes, their site should be updated with brand new offerings for brand new iPhones after today's awe-dropping event. So if you're trading up, hit them up. In the meantime, what they have now is on sale, and you can save over those sale prices. Go to theopencase.com, pick your case and accessories, then use code MacOSKen at checkout for 10% off. That's 10% off the sale prices for cases and 10% off accessories. If you're ready to secure the accessories you have or finally see what MagSafe for iPhone can do, get 10% off your purchase with code MacOSKen at theopencase.com. That's 10% off your purchase with code MacOSKen at theopencase.com. So, when considering a foldable iPhone, what problem does it solve is only part of the question that should be asked. The full question should probably be, what problem does an iPhone foldable solve, and for whom? Like a sailor spotting land after years at sea on the folding phone thing, I caught a glimpse of this idea last week thanks to a couple of stories on last Wednesday's macOSKen. First, there was TF International analyst Ming-Chi Kuo's Medium post on General Interface Solution. They're said by the analyst to be part of the supply chain processing ultra-thin glass for Apple's anticipated foldable iPhone, foldable iPad, and more affordable Vision headset. Refreshing our collective memory, last week's Medium post had the analyst indicating that Apple's first foldable iPhone will hit in 2026, Apple's more affordable Vision headset will launch in 2027, and Apple's first foldable iPad will hit in 2028. Sort of in keeping with IDC's weird optimism around foldables, Ming-Chi Kuo believes Apple has raised 2026 estimates for a foldable iPhone from a range of 6 to 8 million units to a range of 8 to 10 million. 2027's been up from a range of 10 to 15 million foldable iPhones to a range of 20 to 25 million. That feels small versus general iPhone numbers, but the thing is expected to be expensive, so those numbers are actually pretty respectable. The other story last Wednesday that started to rock my thinking on the iPhone Fold was the excitement around iPhone Air expressed by Ryan Christoffel at 9to5Mac. Having proclaimed the official end of iPhone's boring era, he argued last week that iPhone 17 Air will kick off years of new design innovations. 3 years to be precise. iPhone Air this year, a foldable iPhone next year, and an all-glass iPhone in 2027. Doesn't sound like Christoffel is overly excited about iPhone Air for himself. Quoting his piece last week, there will undoubtedly be plenty of reasons to pass on the Air model, namely reduced battery life and only a single rear camera. But it's the kind of exciting new design we haven't seen in years. And that is probably going to be reason enough for a lot of people to buy it, even if it solves no problems. Heck, with anticipations of less battery and a single camera on the back, you could argue that it actually creates problems. Going in, though, some people will still want an iPhone Air and they're going to buy it. And it will solve problems. For Apple. Design problems, production problems, performance problems. People are going to pay good money, probably more than they would for, you could argue, a better iPhone to subsidize Apple's problem solving. Solving for the anticipated lighter headset, the anticipated all-glass iPhone, improvements to Macs, improvements to Apple Watch models, and who knows what else. Things about which we've not even dreamed. I have no desire for a thinner iPhone, but I have an intense desire to see it. Like, assuming they hit stores next Friday, the 19th of September, I will be at my local Apple store next Friday, the 19th of September, just to see this thing. How thin they can make it, how light it's going to be, how bright and clear the display is. Because that's going to solve for the lighter headset, future smart glasses, foldable iPhones and iPads, and we have no idea what else. And that is why I have warmed to the idea of a foldable iPhone. As I've said for years now, I'd be happy to be wrong about that device. I would love to be wrong about it. I would like it if it was the iPhone that I thought I couldn't do without. I don't expect that. And I still think it's possible that Apple is not going to make a foldable iPhone. But if I think of a foldable iPhone not as solving a problem for the customer, but solving problems for Apple in a form that some customers will love and, more importantly, for which some customers will pay, that takes the idea from hurting my brain to making it a no-brainer. So I've moved on now to the part where news sites are writing about what a failure iPhone Fold is because other phones are selling better. Long before any of us see a foldable iPhone, Apple will have decided what will make it a success in their eyes. And those are metrics they're probably not going to miss. Kind of annoyed with myself for having taken as long as I have to get here. It's like I said the other day about the iPhone Mini and iPhone Plus. Though the tech press at large has deemed both of those lines a failure, they were the perfect models for some people. And it doesn't seem likely that Apple lost money on them. See also iPhone Air, which chances are we're going to see today. You've likely not forgotten, but I don't know, maybe you've been off planet. Apple's awe-dropping media event is set for today, Tuesday, the 9th of September at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Mac Rumors knows where you can go to watch it live. Well, watch as it plays for the first time. Probably going to be a pre-recorded, tightly edited thing like they have been for the past 5 years. Places to catch it include Apple's event site. Just point your browser to apple.com/events. Apple's channel on YouTube has been sitting and waiting for well over a week. And finally, there is the Apple TV app, accessible on Apple TV because, well, duh. Also on the Mac, iPhone, iPad, game consoles, smart TVs, and just about anything with a screen attached. Now, if the live time's too early for you, trust me, I know it can be a struggle. You can play it again, Sam. Samantha. Sammy, what do I call you? Anyway, it should be available to replay through all of the aforementioned channels. Apple should also put it up as both an audio podcast and a video podcast soon after the event. Oh, and we'll probably be talking about it here tomorrow as well. I mean, it's possible that something else will come up, but yeah, we'll probably talk about it here. macOS Ken, brought to you by me, and sponsored by Insta360's Go Ultra. Go Ultra today at store.insta360.com with promo code macOSKen. This show is also sponsored by OpenCase, MagSafe for iPhone perfected. Get 10% off your purchase with code macOSKen at theopencase.com. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can find me on Mastodon, macOSKen at mastodon.social. You can also send me an email, info@macosken.com. Enjoy the awe-dropping event.
Aw, yeah.
Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
We truly live in an age of wonders.